We've seen how over-reliance on trade with certain powers of the world has rendered us so fatally vulnerable that we are now dependent on their mood swings. They determine what happens on the African continent. And this is because we've allowed ourselves to fall into a trap of self-loathing, where we've hated not just ourselves but our neighbors on the African continent. We've refused, we've been reluctant to trade with each other, to see and recognize each other's worth. We've come to that point, that inflection point in our history, when we must recognize that we need each other. We need each other desperately as African countries, as Africans. We must we gather here today as bearers of the flame, a flame handed to us by our forebears, who charted this path long before some of us could care or count, that relayed this flame across generations, handed it to us for us to steward, so we can hand it to generations yet to come. The voices of these forebears continue to echo through the tunnels of time as both inspiration and guide to all of us. They inspire, they spoke, they enacted examples, they pointed the way. They laid open a whole spectrum of possibilities and were worthy guides to our region and to our continent. We recognize, we love them so. We appreciate the contribution that they made, one and all. I also appreciate the second addition to that worthy cohort of women presidents on the African continent, in particular our region, SADC region, as I warmly recognize the President of the Republic of Namibia. And thank the Namibian people for giving us this leader. I hope and trust that she brings a feminine touch, a touch of compassion and deep care to a region facing pressing, persistent, and trenchant challenges. I carry the responsibility of leading the country of Botswana, whose democracy faced its most serious test yet in the epic election of October 2024 that saw a party that had been in power for 58 years, certain of its success at the polls, assured of victory in every sense and respect, going into that election and losing spectacularly. Difficult moment that faced the then president. What would he do at that moment? Would he hand over peacefully and avoid strife and controversy? Or would he cling on to power and negate every tenet of democracy? That was the difficult question facing President Masisi of the Republic of Botswana on the 30th of October, the morning of the 1st of November. He had to make a call. He had to decide whether to plunge the country into chaos or to entrench its claims and cement its mettle and worth as a vibrant democracy. He made the call, and he handed over power peacefully, seamlessly. I am much in his debt for that brave and courageous decision that he took that fateful night. And he communicated in no uncertain terms. He said to me, the count is still on. It looks you are winning. I want to give you my solemn assurance that if it continues like this, I will readily concede. These are words we would like to hear uttered in similar circumstances across the breadth and dimensions of the African continent. And if there is no inspiration, let Botswana be your guiding star, and others who've trodden this path before us, so that we cement and entrench the democratic credentials of not just the Southern African tip of the African continent, but the rest of the continent. We have recast the contours of democracy in the democratic space. And so, there was no democratic malfunction. Let there be no democratic malfunction anywhere on the African continent. Let us focus our collective attention on wrestling with the challenges that bedevil our continent. We have seen when the rough winds of circumstance demonstrated to us the challenge that faces multilateralism in today's world. We have seen how over-reliance on trade with certain powers of the world has rendered us so fatally vulnerable that we are now dependent on their mood swings. They determine what happens on the African continent. And this is because we've allowed ourselves to fall into a trap of self-loathing, where we've hated not just ourselves but our neighbors on the African continent. We've refused, we've been reluctant to trade with each other, to see and recognize each other's worth. We've come to that point, that inflection point in our history, when we must recognize that we need each other. We need each other desperately as African countries, as Africans. We must reach out. We must reach out across barriers, across boundaries, across barricades, and find each other, and lean on each other, and hold each other by the hand as we strengthen, deepen intra-Africa trade. That's our only means of survival. We've spoken on this. There's been a lot of political rhetoric around these issues. We are at that point where words must now translate into tangible deliverables. Hundreds of thousands of our citizens across the breadth, the length of the African continent are still caught in the hellish death grip of poverty and unemployment. Africa is in distress. It is calling out to each and every one of us. That cry of distress is a call to the rescue. And we must rise here and now and into the future and respond to that cry of distress. And so we are here today to carve pathways from the inalterable circumstances of our existence with an appreciation that the institutions, the ways in which we've organized ourselves, are routinized and are collectivized, are stylized modes of behavior, must give way to transformative, radical, progressive ideas and actions. And with those few feeble words, let me exhort the whole SADC and indeed the whole of the African continent to action. Thank you so very much for the privilege of your coming here and the pleasure of your kind attention. Thank you so very much. Thank you, Mr. President.
Ladies and gentlemen, on the onset, I would like to thank His Excellency Rajoelina, President of the Republic of Madagascar, and the people of this great nation for the warm welcome and hospitality accorded to our delegation since our arrival. For me personally, being in Madagascar, and in particular in Antananarivo, I'm back home. And once I stayed here during one, I can say, the best times in the history of this country. Coming back today, sincerely, I want to thank you, Your Excellency, when I have seen the progress in as far as development is concerned in this country. Congratulations and well done with your team. Today is my honor to attend and address my first SADC summit in my capacity as the President of the Republic of Namibia, being elected to this position in November 2024 and took office on the 21st of March 2025. I therefore brought you warm greetings from the people of Namibia, the land of the brave, to the people of Madagascar, and of course to the people of SADC. Your Majesty, Your Excellencies, this year will forever resonate in our history, marked by deep emotions and profound reflection when we bid farewell to our founding president, father of the Namibian nation and leader of our revolution, His Excellency, Comrade Dr. Sam Safishuna Nujoma, who passed on the 8th February 2025. He steadfastly guided us through the bitter struggle for Namibia's liberation and independence, leading to our free and independent Namibia until his retirement in 2005. His dedication to the goals and vision of SADC was unwavering. Though his passing filled us with sadness, we found solace on the solidarity shown by our SADC colleagues during this time of mourning. I must therefore sincerely thank all of you for having stood by us during that difficult moment. We also pledge to uphold the profound legacy of His Excellency Dr. Sam Safishuna Nujoma and all our departed leaders for the region and the African continent who dedicated their lives to the cause of freedom, unity, justice, and development. In the same vein, I extend our deepest condolence to the government and the people of the Republic of Zambia following the passing of His Excellency Dr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu, the sixth President of Zambia, on June 5, 2025. We also express our condolences to the government and the people of South Africa on the loss of His Excellency David Mabuza, former President of South Africa. Our condolence goes to His Majesty King Moswati III and the people of the Kingdom of Eswatini following the passing of His Royal Highness Princess Dlamini, former Prime Minister of Eswatini, and Senator Selemalena, former Deputy Prime Minister, who passed on the July 14, 2025. May their memories continue to inspire us, and may their legacies guide us towards peace, progress, and unity in our beloved region. Your Majesty, Your Excellencies, let me pledge my unwavering commitment to the goals and principles of our regional organization and the hopes and inspiration of our people. Together, we must join hands and work tirelessly to fulfill our fundamental responsibility to advance initiatives that promote sustainable development, foster economic growth, and address the pressing challenges we face as a region. Our collective efforts must always aim to improve the living condition of all our people across the SADC region. Namibia is deeply committed to the empowerment of women, and my presence here today stands as a testimony to that commitment. In recognizing the important role women play, not only in our society and homes, but also in shaping the future of our nation and the region. I urge all of us to rededicate ourselves to making the empowerment of women across our region a shining example for the rest of the world. In this spirit, Namibia has established the International Women Peace Center, a pioneering institution dedicated to the operationalization and the championing the pillars of the United Nations Security Council Resolution 1325, adopted in October 2000 during Namibia's presidency of the Security Council. The International Women Peace Center seeks to promote peace, security, and the protection of women's rights in conflict and post-conflict situation, as well as advancing women's leadership in peace process. I therefore appeal to each member states for support and collaboration, encouraging our respective institutions to join hands with our International Women Peace Center. Together, we can strengthen the foundation of peace and empower women to be active agents of change through our region. Your Majesty, Your Excellencies, today we must also reaffirm a critical truth that the objectives of the Regional Indicative Strategic Development Plan 2020 to 2050 cannot be realized if our people continue to face socio-economic challenges such as high youth unemployment and food shortages. We must unite with urgency and compassion to ensure that food security is not just a goal on paper, but must be a reality in every home across our region. We must empower our youth to compete with their peers worldwide, particularly in the creative industry, science and technology, and innovation. Equally important is the compelling need to add value to our regional's raw materials before exporting them outside SADC. We need to put into operation the value chain programs that we have decided in this organization many years ago. By doing so, we will strengthen our economies, create jobs, retain more benefit from our natural resources, and build a better future of our people. We must also move towards industrialization to diversify our economies to benefit from the African continent free trade areas. However, Your Majesty, Your Excellencies, these aspirations cannot be realized without strengthening the infrastructures of peace, security, and good governance. Those elements are essential for sustainable and inclusive growth. We remain deeply concerned about the persistent security challenges in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. The ongoing instabilities threatens to reverse the hard-won development gains across the region. We must redouble our collective efforts and demonstrate a strong political will to ensure that peace prevails, particularly for the women and children of DRC. Who deserve nothing than safety and dignity. Without peace, there is no progress, no safety for families, no hope for our children, and no growth for our countries. And Africa and SADC will continue to remain in absolute poverty. I wish to express our profound gratitude to the brave men and women in uniform deployed on SADC mission in the DRC, who have done a commendable job that we must be proud of. Our condolence goes to the countries as well as to families who have lost their loved ones in the DRC. You have paid the highest sacrifice on our behalf. Your Majesty, Your Excellencies, we are here to recommit ourselves to the programs of SADC, and Namibia, under my leadership, will continue committed to ensure that SADC programs are implemented to the best of our ability and in the best interest of the SADC people. Thank you for your kind attention, and thank you for welcoming me in this body of ours, and happy SADC Day to all of us.